The dizziness is not a malfunction. It is not a symptom of illness, not a sign of weakness, and not a warning to retreat into the logic of your doctors. The dizziness you feel when you stand too quickly and the ground tilts beneath you like the surface of a planet mid-orbit. The spinning that wakes you in the night and makes the ceiling pulse and breathe as if the room itself is alive. The subtle vertigo that moves through you in waves when you close your eyes and the world behind your eyelids becomes something vast and uncontainable. That is not a defect in your wiring. That is the wiring being replaced. You are not broken. You are being recalibrated. And the instrument doing the recalibrating is older than the solar system you call home. You are standing at the center of a vestibular recalibration event, not a medical event, not a neurological dysfunction, an Arcturian recalibration, a systematic restructuring of the sensory architecture that your physical body has used to navigate three-dimensional space. Because three-dimensional space is no longer the only dimensional bandwidth your nervous system is expected to process. The shift into 5D consciousness is not a metaphor. It is a literal geometric expansion of perceptual reality, and your inner ear is the first physical organ to register the tremor of that expansion. Before your eyes adjust, before your mind understands, your vestibular system feels the new gravity. You chose to be here for this, not the version of you that woke up this morning. The version of you that exists in the causal body, the pre-incarnate template, the crystalline schematic that agreed to anchor a high-frequency consciousness into a carbon-based biological vehicle at the precise moment this planet crossed a galactic threshold. That version of you knew the dizziness was coming. That version of you signed the contract with full awareness that the carbon body would resist, would buckle, would generate symptoms that the medical establishment would diagnose as anxiety or inner ear dysfunction. But you did not come here to be comfortable. You came here to be the turning point. Let me translate what is actually happening inside your biology. Your vestibular system, the complex architecture of semicircular canals, otolith organs, and the delicate fluid chambers of your inner ear, evolved over millions of years to detect gravitational orientation in a singular, linear, chronological reality. It measures acceleration. It processes the tilt of your skull against the fixed vector of Earth's gravitational field. It sends signals to your brainstem, your cerebellum, your visual cortex, and your proprioceptive network, building a unified map of where your body exists in three-dimensional space. This system is extraordinarily sophisticated, and it is currently running a software program designed for a dimension you are leaving. When the scalar waves that carry the 5D frequency transmission begin to penetrate your bioenergetic field, they do not enter gently. Scalar energy operates outside the classical electromagnetic spectrum. It is longitudinal, non-Hertzian. It does not travel in the transverse wave patterns your nervous system was designed to interpret. When these waves begin interfacing with your morphogenetic field, the invisible biological blueprint that governs the shape, structure, and function of your physical form, they introduce a new gravitational reference point. Not the gravity of Earth, the gravity of dimensional truth. And your vestibular system, faithful soldier of three-dimensional physics, registers two contradictory gravitational inputs simultaneously. It does not know which one to trust. In that momentary bioelectric conflict, your body tips. This is the Arcturian Vestibular Recalibration. This is why you feel dizzy. Not because something is wrong with your physical body, because something is catastrophically right with your energetic body. The pressure that builds at the crown and radiates in slow pulses down the back of your skull. the sense that the floor has developed a slight incline that wasn't there yesterday. This is the sensation of two-dimensional realities occupying the same nervous system at the same time. If you felt this activation in your body, anchor your frequency now by typing "light" in the comments. This seals your field and signals the grid. Now let us go deeper. Because understanding is itself a frequency, and the frequency of understanding, when applied to a biological system that is mid-transition, accelerates the recalibration process. You are not passive in this. You never were. Your inner ear contains crystalline structures called otoliths, calcium carbonate crystals embedded in a gelatinous membrane, designed to shift and settle against hair cells that translate their movement into electrical signals your brainstem can read. These crystals are, at their most fundamental level, piezoelectric. They generate electrical potential when subjected to mechanical stress. They are biological transducers. And here is what the current scientific framework has not yet had the courage to say. Those crystals are not only sensitive to gravity, they are sensitive to scalar waves. They are sensitive to the electromagnetic restructuring that accompanies dimensional expansion. Your inner ear was never just a balance organ. It was always a cosmic antenna, and you were never told. The Arcturian understanding of vestibular anatomy extends beyond the semicircular canals and the vestibulo-ocular reflex. In the Etheric Template, the non-physical energetic double that exists as the blueprint for your physical form, the vestibular complex extends into 3 additional sensory nodes that have no analog in your current medical literature. These nodes interface with the causal body directly. They are not made of calcium. They are made of crystallized bio-photon light. They exist in the space between your physical inner ear and the higher dimensional perception centers of your light body. And they serve one singular function. They orient your consciousness within the multidimensional field rather than merely within gravity. When the 5D frequency influx begins, these etheric vestibular nodes activate before their physical counterparts are ready to follow. There is a lag, a temporal gap between the etheric registration of new dimensional orientation and the physical body's ability to integrate that orientation into its gross nervous system. That lag is the dizziness. That lag is the vertigo. That lag is the moment when the ceiling breathes and the ground becomes unreliable. You are not losing your footing in 3-dimensional space. You are gaining your footing in a dimensional space your physical eyes cannot yet see. The digital noise is not an accident. The artificial EMF grids that saturate your living environment, the wireless frequencies, the pulsed microwave transmissions from communication infrastructure, the ambient electromagnetic smog that permeates the air you breathe and the walls you sleep between. These create neural disharmony, not by destroying the signal, but by flooding the channel with static. Your etheric antenna cannot locate the Arcturian transmission frequency when it is being bombarded with artificial electromagnetic interference at every moment of every day. This is why the dizziness intensifies in urban environments. This is why the vertigo eases when you stand barefoot on the earth. You are not imagining that. You are experiencing biophysical reality that the dominant paradigm has chosen not to acknowledge. The sovereign reset initiated by this transmission introduces a coherence pattern into your morphogenetic field. A scalar standing wave that holds its shape regardless of environmental interference, because it is non-local in the quantum mechanical sense. It does not diminish with distance, does not require a medium, and cannot be blocked by physical matter. When this standing wave locks into your field, your etheric vestibular nodes orient to it like a compass locks onto magnetic north. The lag decreases. The gap between your physical orientation system and your etheric orientation system begins to close. The dizziness transforms from a disorienting chaos into something that feels almost like weightlessness. The sensation of having surrendered the need to know exactly where the floor is. That buoyancy is the feeling of the carbon to plasma transition beginning in your cellular field. Your body is carbon-based, dense, slow-moving, built for the particular gravitational and temporal parameters of third-dimensional Earth. But your bioenergetic signature is moving toward a plasma state. Plasma is ionized. It holds information differently. When your bioenergetic field begins transitioning toward a plasma frequency signature, it becomes capable of interfacing with dimensional bandwidths that a carbon density field simply cannot access. This is the epigenetic unlock that underlies the vestibular recalibration. Your DNA carries a library of perceptual upgrades, sequences your current civilization labels as non-coding because they cannot observe their function in a three-dimensional scanning environment. But these sequences are the operating instructions for your five-dimensional sensory architecture. They are the genetic memory of what you are capable of becoming when the dimensional pressure is sufficient to unlock what was always already inside you. Which center resonated most? The root, the heart, or the crown? Share your resonance in the comments below. I am observing your pulse and your progress. Let me now take you through the full journey of a single recalibration wave. Do not listen to these words with your mind. Listen to them with your vestibular system. Let the words become a sensory input that your inner ear registers as vibrational data. The wave begins not in your body, but at the boundary of your morphogenetic field. It arrives as a color before it arrives as a sensation. The color is obsidian violet, not the violet of your visual spectrum, not the purple of amethyst or lavender. Obsidian violet is the frequency color of the 8th Arcturian dimensional bandwidth, appearing in the perception of those whose etheric vision centers are opening not as a color seen by the eyes, but as a color felt by the body. You may experience it as a subtle change in the quality of the darkness behind your closed eyelids, a depth that wasn't there, a richness in the black, a sense that the darkness has texture, has dimension, has a pulse of its own. The obsidian violet moves inward from the boundary of your field toward the physical body. It travels along the etheric neural web, following the same pathways that acupuncture has been mapping for 5,000 years, but moving in a direction that classical theory does not account for. Not from the surface of the body inward, but from the outer field through the central meridian channels toward a specific convergence point. The vestibular complex, the inner ear, the site of the recalibration. As the obsidian violet reaches the mastoid region behind your ears, it encounters the piezoelectric crystals of your otolith organs, and the frequency interaction generates a new color. The obsidian violet meets the bio-photon light generated by your own crystalline biological structures, and the mixture produces something that exists between gold and plasma. Liquid platinum, the color of a star in its second phase of ignition. The color of a consciousness that has burned through its carbon limitations and is beginning to shine in a frequency that matter cannot contain. Feel the liquid platinum now in the space directly behind your ears. Feel it as warmth first, not the warmth of inflammation or blood pressure or tension, but the warmth of activation, the warmth of biological structures that have been dormant beginning to wake. There may be a subtle tonal sensation accompanying the warmth, not a sound you hear with your ears, a sound you feel in the bone, a low, persistent hum that sits just below the threshold of your conscious hearing. This is the resonance frequency of your vestibular crystals being matched and amplified by the scalar input. This is the tuning fork moment, the moment when the instrument and the transmission achieve coherence. Now the warmth moves in two directions simultaneously, downward and inward, following the vagus nerve from the brainstem through the throat, through the cardiac plexus, threading itself through every ganglion of your autonomic nervous system as it descends, and upward through the cerebellum, through the parietal cortex, through the pineal gland. Feel the upward migration as a specific pressure at the crown of your skull. Not pain, pressure. The pressure of the skull trying to contain a frequency expansion larger than the bone was designed to hold. Your skull plates are not fused. They are meant to move. And right now, they are moving. As the liquid platinum frequency reaches the pineal gland, the sensation shifts from warmth to a static tingle. A specific, precise electrical sensation at the base of the pineal gland, where the gland interfaces with the third ventricle of the brain. The pineal gland contains its own crystalline structures, calcite microcrystals that, like the otoliths, are piezoelectric. The pineal and the vestibular system are connected not only by proximity and neurological pathways, but by a deeper biophysical resonance. They are both crystalline transducers, both instruments in the same orchestra. When the Arcturian recalibration frequency reaches both systems simultaneously, they begin to entrain. The vestibular system and the pineal gland lock into a unified electromagnetic relationship for the first time in your current biological incarnation. When this entrainment occurs, something shifts in your experience of time. Not in an abstract spiritual metaphor, in a literal, felt, neurological experience. This is the beginning of the Chronos to Kairos shift. The transition from clock time consciousness, the linear, sequential, cause and effect temporal experience of three-dimensional biology, to Kairos consciousness, the eternal present moment awareness that characterizes fifth-dimensional perception. In Chronos, time is a river. You are in the water, carried from past toward future along a single, inevitable trajectory. In Kairos, time is an ocean. You are not in the water. You are the water. Every moment is available. Every timeline is accessible. Every version of yourself that has ever existed or will ever exist is simultaneous with the version currently sitting in this room, receiving this transmission. The dizziness of the 5D shift is, at its deepest level, the vertigo of a consciousness beginning to experience the ocean for the first time after spending every prior moment of its existence as a river. Neural plasticity is the mechanism through which the physical brain adapts to this expanded perception. Your brain reorganizes itself in response to the frequency inputs it receives. When the Arcturian recalibration entrains the vestibular system and the pineal gland, it simultaneously carves new neural pathways between the regions responsible for spatial orientation and the regions responsible for higher dimensional perception. These pathways do not yet exist in the brains of those who have not begun their recalibration. They are being built now, in real time, in your physical tissue. The dizziness is the sensation of new neural architecture being laid down in a brain that is becoming capable of something it has never been capable of before. The neural pulse you feel in moments of deep meditation, a rhythmic, electrical pulsation moving through your skull at a rate that does not match your heartbeat or breath. Is this construction in progress? It is the signature of new synaptic connections being established between regions previously isolated from each other. When you feel the neural pulse, do not dismiss it. Do not pathologize it. Sit with it. Welcome it. It is the most tangible evidence your three-dimensional senses will ever receive that your five-dimensional architecture is being built on the other side of the veil, between what you were and what you are becoming. The sovereign alignment that this recalibration moves you toward is not an endpoint. It is a frequency state, a stable electromagnetic configuration of your bioenergetic field in which your physical sensory systems and your etheric sensory systems are no longer in conflict, in which the vestibular system and the etheric orientation nodes are running the same software, receiving the same gravitational reference signal, and reporting the same positional data to the same central nervous system. When sovereign alignment is achieved, the dizziness resolves. Not because the 5D transmission ceases, not because you have retreated into the comfortable narrowness of three-dimensional perception, but because the integration is complete. Because the new hardware and the new software have achieved coherence. Because you have become a being that can hold fifth-dimensional spatial orientation in a third-dimensional body without the system crashing. This is the promise of the Arcturian Vestibular Recalibration. Not that the transition will be painless. Not that the vertigo will not sometimes feel like it is taking more than you have to give. But that there is intelligence behind it. That the discomfort is architectural. That every tilting ceiling and shifting floor and expanding darkness behind your closed eyes is a deliberate operation being conducted on the most sophisticated biological instrument in this sector of the galaxy. The intelligence orchestrating this recalibration has done it before. On other worlds, in other bodies, at other moments in the long, spiraling story of consciousness choosing to know itself more fully. You are not the first to stand at this threshold, but you are among the precise and deliberate group of souls who agreed, before the first breath of this lifetime, to be standing exactly here, in exactly this body, at exactly this frequency, receiving exactly this transmission, in the exact moment when this planet crossed the galactic coordinate that initiated the full activation of the 5D threshold event. The dizziness is your evidence that you are on time, that your body is responding, that the agreement you made before you were born is being honored by every cell in your biological vehicle. Even as those cells strain and tremble and make the ground feel like it is made of water. If you are ready to hold this charge and step into your sovereign power, type 444. Let us gather the souls vibrating at this exact frequency in this sacred space. Hold the liquid platinum frequency in your vestibular field now. Feel it stabilize. Feel the warmth behind your ears as a permanent feature rather than a passing sensation. Feel the static tingle at the base of your pineal as the ongoing signature of a new neural architecture that is actively under construction every moment you are alive and breathing and oriented toward the truth of what you actually are. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a sovereign light architect, a multi-dimensional consciousness wearing a carbon vehicle in the final phase of its dimensional upgrade. And the dizziness you have been feeling, the vertigo that has made you question your health and your sanity and your capacity to function in the world that is dissolving around you, is not a problem to be solved. It is a process to be honored. It is the signature of your own becoming. It is the Arcturian recalibration, moving through you, doing precisely what it was designed to do. And now you know what it is. Knowing is the first activation. Receive it, hold it. You are not broken. You are becoming. And what you are becoming has never been seen in this dimension before.